wasn't trying to leave. I just wanted to make you happy.
Oh man, this movie's uncomfortable. I'm only 3 movies in and I'm already fatigued. Like, if I wanted to go through repeated physical abuse like this, I'd schedule more sessions with my dominatrix. What am I even doing with my life? This movie is a pretty good example of why I don't like giving movie scores. Technically, it's the best movie so far in terms of quality. But, man, out of the ones I've seen so far, I do not like this movie. I'd probably put it between Aladdin 2 and 3, but I don't know, sometimes I feel like I put it below both of them. There's a lot wrong with this, so let's just go ahead and get into it. So the problem with making a sequel to Beauty and the Beast is found in the original. There are very few movies that end on such a finite, happy ending as hard as Beauty and the Beast does. Everyone's human, everyone's happy, what more is there to say? Where do you go from there? To remedy this, they decide to set the movie in the midst of the events of the first. I guess they wanted to flesh out the beginning of their relationship, and I say I guess, because what we got is pretty lackluster. This is a Christmas special, and to put it simply, Belle loves Christmas, the Beast is going through his edgelord phase and he hates Christmas, and Forte the pipe organ wants to keep the Beast depressed so that he keeps listening to his edgy music. They introduce a few new characters along the way, like Fife, Forte's henchman, and Angelique. Resident Stick in the Mud, and the Castle Decorator. Fife's an annoyance, and Angelique's a Debbie Downer until a sudden change of heart at the end of the movie. So, the biggest problem with these DVD sequels is that they have a drastic reduction of stakes. It's gonna be something that we see again and again in all of these. Part of the problem lies in how clean the endings are for most of these movies. People aren't really excited to see the idea of happily ever after for these characters just shattered. So writers need to find a weaker issue to deal with. So we have the death and permanent curse of everyone in the castle versus, I don't like Christmas. The destruction of an entire savannah. I don't really like those other lions, they're mean. The burning down of all of France by a corrupt pyromaniac. Beauty's on the inside? And she tricked me? Man, this one's bad. I'm not really looking forward to this one in particular. But the lowering of the stakes is not the biggest problem with this movie. So, I get that the Beast is going through his edge phase.
It's the shadow of a monster.
And as someone who went through such a phase, I get where he's coming from. Sure, the movie makes him seem like a petulant child instead of a cursed and tortured individual, but instead of looking at that, what in the ever Feliz Navidad happened to Belle? I've never seen such a neutering in my life. You know how everyone jokes that Beauty and the Beast is Stockholm Syndrome? This movie is doing everything it can to prove them right. Take the strong-willed Belle, who didn't take any shit from Gaston or the Beast, and turn her into a manic pixie dream weakling. All she wants to do is help the Beast not be such a grumpy wumpy. She just takes his bullshit. And I mean, literally on the day of the wolf incident, Belle said,
"Why don't you give him a chance?"
I don't want to get to know him. I don't want to have anything to do with him.
And yet, her very first song in this movie is,
When I get to know him.
What happened, Belle? Where's this attitude? Instead, she's all, I only wanted to make you happy, and it's just uncomfortable. Not only is she weak when it comes to the Beast, it's also laughably ridiculous how easy Forte tricks her into going into the forest in pursuit of a Christmas tree. Like, Belle, come on. Anyone who laughs like is scheming. Although, speaking of that laugh, Tim Curry is the best part of this movie, and he is fantastic to hear. He's just so beautifully over the top, and I love it. So songs in this movie leave a lot to be desired. The very first song in the movie is that whole when I get to know him nonsense, and I've made it clear how I felt about that. Let me go into why it bothers me so much. Generally, I look at the first song of a Disney movie to set the tone for the rest of the movie. For the most part, these songs tell us who the characters are, what they care about, and sometimes just the general tone of the movie. This movie's first song, other than Deck the Halls, is Belle singing about how she can change him. Why? In the original, it wasn't Belle's job to change him. Sure, she was a catalyst, but he had to have that personal growth on his own terms. it gave his transformation, personality-wise, not physically, much more meaning. The song also shows how little Belle's personality actually made it into this movie. Like, what do you want? Who are you? Your whole personality in this movie is just, I love Christmas and I'm a happy-go-lucky gal. But that aside, the next song up was As Long as There's Christmas, and that's like the most important song of the movie. And it's alright, I guess. It's kind of just a generic, feel-good, Christmassy song. Let's see. Tim Curry has a song, and it's, to be honest, less than okay. I mean, I love Tim Curry, and there are some parts of this song that I do really like, but for the most part, I'd just say it's a little bit of a mess. Okay, so the last song out of the bunch, other than 2 reprises of As Long as There's Christmas, yeah, they really love that one, is Cut Above the Rest. And that segues me perfectly into my next issue. Cut Above the Rest is the most unnecessary song I've ever heard. I can't think of a worse time for it to show up in the movie. It happens right after the Beast blows up at Belle, and afterwards he finds her gift, and he's dealing with guilt, and he wants to apologize to her. Next thing you know,
I'm a cut above the rest.
And then right after that, Tim the Pipe Organ Curry is trying to kill everybody. And why is this jokey friend bickering song smack down between 2 strong, for this movie, emotional points, and it just brings them down? It's annoying and it's pointless. And it also highlights another big problem, is that the lack of importance with the secondary characters. They don't really have much of a purpose. I don't know why they're there. I mean, other than pushing Belle and the Beast together, or well, saying that they want to, but then doing not really much to do that, they don't really have a point. Okay, so there are plenty of weird distractions in this movie. Most of them are like animation distractions or weird continuity things, like why is there a lake right outside the door? And this weird eye thing where they'll put light over the eyes and it's like a little strip of light, and I don't get why that's a thing. And also this.
You said you'd never leave.
Okay, what's even happening? This movie also has weird attempts at humor.
I fell and I landed on on the ice.
It's pretty slippery.
Yes, it's slippery.
Haha, yeah, it's funny stuff, funny. So, why does Chip not remember Christmas? The whole setup, for the most part, is Chip like, what's Christmas? So, I get that I assume that time has been paused for them. I mean, the Beast was cursed on Christmas because subtlety in this movie is spelled like subtle. So, but has he been a cup his whole life? Was he born a cup? Is Mrs. Potts getting laid somewhere in the kitchen? Did she give birth to a cup? I don't think that's the case, but why doesn't he remember Christmas? It would be traumatic for him. I shouldn't be thinking about this. I should just be enjoying the movie, but this movie was so boring that I started thinking about this. Overall, this could have worked. It's got a good premise in fleshing out the relationship of Belle and the Beast, but to be honest, I'd say that it's not quite compelling enough to stretch an entire movie. Not on its own, at least. It's just the second act of the movie. You kind of need to introduce a little something. And I do like Forte as that something, but it's still lacking in quite a few places. And also, instead of the slow progression of Belle's affection for the Beast, we get a woman desperate to get to know him or take him ice skating. They really just murdered Belle's character. And for that, this is my least favorite one out of the bunch so far. I mean, out of 3, that's not saying much, but I just don't like this. Next out of the bunch is Beauty and the Beast, Belle's Magical World. And I mean, I don't need to make a whole video to say it's really bad. It's technically worse than this, but we'll see if I have a little bit of fun with it. If you've seen the movie, throw down a comment telling me what you think about it in comparison. Maybe you liked it and can give some arguments as to why. I'd like to hear them. And until then,